Based Ghost BSD. Omarchi. Omarchi not based. Omarchi blow. Omarchi cringe. Endover OS. Space Linux. Devon. Okay. Software for humans of intermediate age. We don't know how old you are. We don't want to know. We are legally required to ask. We won't. Checkmate system, dear. True. Look, ageless Linux, guys. A based Linux distribution. We should see. We don't know how old you are. We don't want to know. We are legally required to ask. We won't. What a based, a Debian-based operating system that is based. Even though I do not like Debian. The fastest path to deny compliance, run this on any Linux system to convert it to ageless Linux. The script analyzes your system, shows exactly what it will do, logs every action, and is fully reversible. Well based. Install ageless Linux identity. Neutralize the systemD user DB birth date field. It deploys a stub age verification API that returns no date. Preserves a thin good faith ever argument. Fragrant node. No API stub. Dry run and revert. Well, guys, look. Ageless Linux before GTA 6. Crazy, right? Get ageless. Watch, this is just like super malware or something. People are going to like use it. It's going to actually upload your... It's going to steal your government ID and upload... upload it directly to... like ISIS website or like the government. That'd be super funny. Turkey has passed social media ban for under 15, but I don't know if they're going to OS route. For now, Piss My Pants Linux is safe too. It's Turkish. Unfortunate. I don't live in Turkey. Fortunate. Good, you shouldn't. It doesn't sound fun to live in Turkey. They make questionable guns too. Is the Turkish Delight, though, from Turkey? Or am I just being racist? It probably is. It sounds like the Turkish Delight is from Turkey, because it says Turkish in the name. But I could be wrong. It should have done it in 8 hours or less, damn it. But it's too late to change the name. Guys, learn how to hate systemD in 8 hours or less. Let it be known. Yeah, I'll be smoking the devil's lettuce, thinking the law is... Yeah, watch. Age verification is going to hit the TV. I don't know if they even need these laws, though. Are you going to verify on a fucking TV? It's true. The things I think of when I'm drinking beers and smoking off the Yonkies. Just wait till your guitar gets age verification, guys. You're gonna have to verify your age before you can shred. No more Guitar Hero for anyone else. Why do you keep forgetting Pissy Linux is Turkish for kitty? That's a very Turkish thing of them to do. We're going to read something, though, that I came across in a chat, in a Matrix chat, a Matrix decentralized chat, a based chat, if I can find it. I have an acoustic guitar. How the fuck am I going to verify that? Can you play Wonderwall? If you can't, too young. How you gonna change your strings, man? I gotta find that website. LDAP enjoyers. Comparison of the Thief of Joy. True. Wonderwall is the ultimate age gate. I can't play Wonderwall. It's like 4 chords, man. The Crypt blog. NSA and IETF. Can attackers simply purchase standardization of weakened cryptography? I don't know what that means. Oh, Broken by Design, systemD by E Won't Fix. E Won't Fix. There we go. That's what it is. The worst of time, 64 breakage. I'm preparing to release Muso 1.0. I'm pretty sure I don't have a capo either. You could do it without a capo. Capos are for pussies. It would sound insanely off. God. Do I even know? No, they're like extremely copyrighted. I was wondering, I was like, do I even still know how to play it? It's like dun 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 dun. It's something. If I like sat there for like 30 minutes, I could probably like refigure it. I know. I remember the chords kind of. It's like a G major, C add 9. I know it's like it would be like the same. I think this is an E. I know that's it. That's the best I've heard. Wonderwall. Something. I don't know. I know it's something. It's like G major, C add 9, some weird. I think that's like a E, like E something. E suspended 9 chord, whatever. That's not even a real chord, probably. I don't know. I just made that up. Something with Musil though. Yahweh. Wow. 32-bit X8 position independent code. It's that bad? Wow. 32-bit hate. Multi-thread. This is from 2015. Goddamn. He did something about. Oh, here we go. System D has 6 services startup notifications, and they're all wrong. Broken by design. This is 2014. This is somewhat old, but still relevant, probably. I should go into the Musil and BusyBox IRC channel mailing list so that I can be Musil pilled and BusyBox based. Honestly, you should build your house like the BusyBox. Recently, the topic is quite uncommon in various communities, which involved Musil IRC channel on the BusyBox mailing list. I've never done a mailing list, by the way. I've never participated in one. While the attitude towards systemD in these communities is largely negative, much of what I've seen has been either dismissible by folks in different circles as mere conservatism, or tempered by an idea that despite its flaws, this design is sound. The latter views comes with the notion that systemD's flaws are flexible without scraping or otherwise occurring major cost, and therefore not a major obstacle adopting systemD. My view is this idea is wrong. SystemD is broken by design, and despite offering highly anticipating improvements over legacy systems, in its systems, it also brings major regressions in the terms of many areas Linux is expected to excel: security, stability, and not having to reboot to upgrade your system. It's true. That is one of the best things I like about Linux, is I don't have to reboot when I update my system. This is what when I first installed Arch, I was like, wow, no reboot? I can just, I think there's like a command you have to run after. It's been a minute. But there's like a command you can run afterwards that would make sure all the changes are done. The first big problem is PID1. On Unix systems, PID1 is special orphaned processes, including special case Debians, which orphans themselves get reprinted to PDI1. There are some special signal semantics with respect to PDI1. And perhaps most importantly, PID1 crashes or exits. The whole system goes down. Kernel panic. Wow, did not know that. Among the reasons systemD wants/needs to run as PDI1 is getting parenthood of badly behaved daemons that orphan themselves, preventing the immediate parent from knowing their PDI to signal or wait on them. Unfortunately, it also gets the other properties, including bringing down the whole system when it crashes. This matters because systemD is complex, a lot more complex than traditional systems. And when I say complex, I don't mean in the lines of code sense. I mean in the terms of possible inputs and the code's paths that may be activated at runtime. While legacy init systems basically deal with no inputs except sigchild from the orphaned process, exiting and manual run level changes to perform by the administrator, systemD deals with it all sorts of inputs, including device insertion and removal, changes to mount points and watch points in the file system, and even a public dbus based API. This in turn entails resource allocation, file parsing, message parsing, string handling, and so on. This brings us to the second big problem, attack surface. This is what some people do bring up, that systemD's attack surface is much larger, it's more complex. It kind of takes the job, it takes many hats and takes all these hats and wears them. That could be considered, like in my opinion, a problem. And it adds a level of complexity. This complexity is kind of against the Unix philosophy of a simple design. It just works. Look, we're all okay with complexity when we introduce it ourselves, but at the gate is kind of crazy. On a hardened system without systemD, you have at most one root privilege process with any exposed surface. SSHD. Everything else is either running as unprivileged user or does not have a channel providing input except local input root. Using systemD then more than doubles the attack surface. This increased and unreasonable risk is not inherent to systemD's goal of fixing legacy in it. However, the inherent to the systemD design philosophy of putting everything in the init process. The third big problem: reboot to upgrade. Remember that. Look, when you have the host come over, and they're like, you're just sitting here, jorking it or whatever, and they're like next to you, and you're like, hey, hold on, I need to update my system. You can just, I'm arrow up supremacy. I don't really like the idea of typing stuff out, so I'll just hit up arrow, 80 to 60 times in order to up arrow maxing, like, my IQ. I'm upping, my funny, I'm upping my IQ, and I'm upping so that I don't have to type. Up arrow supremacy is real. And so when you update with something like void, I don't have to reboot. It just works. Everything's applied, everything's done, everything's based. Look at that. Micro Blaze. They know what's up. Fundamentally, upgrading should never require rebooting unless the components being upgraded is the kernel. Even then, for security updates, it's ideal to have a hot patch that can be applied as a loadable kernel module to mitigate the security issue until rebooting with the new kernel is appropriate. Uptime maxing is my favorite. I want my system to run 6 years before I have to reboot. I only want to reboot when there's a power outage and I'm not home. I agree. Uptime rebooting cuts into my goon time. So when you show the hose, they're like, wow, you just updated your system? I'm like, yeah. They're like, no reboot? No. And they're like, wow, based. Please have my children. That's what they say. Okay. So, possible counterarguments. Hot patch. Unfortunately, by moving large amounts of functionality that's likely to be upgraded into PID1, systemD makes it impossible to upgrade without rebooting. This leads to Linux becoming the laughingstock of Windows fans, as happened with Ubuntu a long time ago. Haha, nerd, you have to reboot. With regard to security, one could ask, why can't a desktop system use systemD and lever server systems to find something else? But I think the lines of reasoning is flawed in at least three ways. Many of the selling points features systemD are server-oriented. State-of-the-art transaction-style handling of daemons, starting and stopping is not a feature that's useful on desktop systems. I agree. This is why I say system like Ubuntu as a server operating system like Alpine or whatever, it's great. I love it. I have no problem. I use Ubuntu a lot. I use Alpine a lot. You could even say Gen 2 is nice in the server realm. Depending what your goal is. It's all depending what your goal is. If you want stability, server, maintenance, boom, Ubuntu. Ubuntu server. Works. If you want small footprint, small attack surface security, you have a couple options. You can do Arch. You can do Gen 2, actually, and Alpine. I think those are the best. But if you want router security, like if you want like a router, you want something to be your OS for your router, BSD, OpenBSD, NetBSD is the go. The BSD in general is the go. Minimal attack surface, secure by design, and to a degree. Obviously, there are some issues with with the BSD family as well. Nothing's perfect, but it does have a thought that you have to stick in the back of your head. What is your goal? If your goal is to achieve the maximum, resources, you want to use the least amount of RAM or whatever. You want to squeeze every penny out there for the shareholders. You could say that Alpine is probably the best option. It's lightweight. It's very minimally attack surface, and it's based, and it doesn't need systemD. A systemD free option. With regards to upgrades, the desktop is quickly becoming irrelevant. The future platform is going to be mobile, and it's going to deal with the reality of running untrusted applications. While the desktop made the Unix system distinction between local users' account largely irrelevant, the coming of mobile app ecosystems are full of potentially malicious apps, making local security more important than ever. And I agree that desktops are somewhat becoming irrelevant. I think to like a certain degree. I mean, more people are gaming and streaming now. On one hand, more people have access to gaming and streaming. On another hand, more people are going to be able to financially afford a phone. A phone has more utility. I would pick a phone over, a desktop. I'm just thinking like as average user. I can make calls. I can meet women. I can watch video. I mean, it's just there's not much argument there in terms of like phone. Most people are going like phone good, desktop bad. Food for thought. Okay, let's see. With regards to security, the crowd pushing systemD, possibly including its author, is not content to have systemD to be one choice among many. By providing a public API, it's intended to be used by other applications. systemD has set itself to be difficult not to use once it achieves a certain adoption threshold. With regards to upgrades, systemD's systemctl has a daemon rexc command to make systemD serialized in the state of re-exe itself and continues uninterrupted. This could perhaps be used to switch to a new version without rebooting various programs already used in this technique, such as the RSC client Iris, which lets you upgrade without dropping any connections. Unfortunately, this brings us back to the issue with PID 1 being special. And for normal applications, if re-exering fails, the worst that happens is the process dies and gets restarted, either manually or by some monitoring process. If necessary, however, PID 1, if exceeding itself fails, the whole system goes down kernel panic. For common reasons, it might fail. The syscall returns failure in the original process image, allowing the program to handle the error. However, failure is not entirely atomic. In addition, systemD might fail to restore serialized state due to resource allocation failures, or if the old/new versions have diverged significantly, the old state is not usable by the new version. So if not systemD, what? Debian's discussion of whether the adopted systemD or not basically devolved into a false dichotomy between systemD and upstart. And except among grumpy old luddites, keeping legacy sysv in it is not an attractive option. So despite all its flaws, is systemd the best option? No. None of the things that systemD does right are all revolutionary. They've been done many times before. DJB's Damien's tools, Run It, Supervisor, among others, have solved the legacy in it is broken problem over and over again, though each with some of their own flaws. The failure to displace legacy sysv in it in major distributions has nothing to do with whether they solved a problem and everything to do with marketing. Said differently, there's nothing great and revolutionary about systemD. Its popularity is purely the result of an aggressive dictatorial marketing strategy, including elements such as engulfing other essential system components like UDEV and making them difficult or impossible to use without systemD. But see UDEV. Isn't EUDEV like a super important component? And if they swallowed it, wouldn't that be a bad thing? UDEV is a device management for the Linux kernel that dynamically manages device nodes in the dev directly and handles user space events when hardware devices are added or removed. It was developed as a successor to Dev VFSD and Hotplug, providing features like persistent device naming and improved security by operating user space. Huh. Interesting. Setting up an API lock and having the dbus interface provided by systemD becomes a necessary API that the user level programs depend on. Dictating policy rather than being scoped, such as the user administrator or systems integrator distribution, has to provide glue. This eliminates bike sheds and thereby fast track adoption at the expense of flexibility and diversity. So how should an init be done right? The Unix way, with simple self-contained programs that do one thing and do one thing well. First, get everything out of PID1. The systemD way, take advantage of special properties of PID1 to the maximum extent possible. This leads to an ever-expanding scope creep and it exacerbates all the problems described above, and probably many more yet to be discovered. The right way, do away with everything special about PID1, making it PID1 to do nothing but start the real init script and then just reap zombies. Yes, that's really that all belongs to PID1. There's no way that it can fail at runtime and no need to upgrade it once it's successfully running. Next, from this init script, run a process supervision system outside of PID1 to manage daemons as an intimate child process, no backgrounding, as mentioned above. There are several existing choices here. It's not clear to me that any of them are significantly polished or robust to satisfy major distributions at the time, but neither is systemD. Its backers just better at sweeping under the rug. While the extension choice do have, though, is better designed mainly in the way of having clean, well-defined scope rather than Katamari Demacy. Unix way, my beloved. True. And none of them are ready for prime time. They then the folks eager to replace legacy init in their favorite distributions need to step up, either polish one of their existing solutions or write better implementation based on the same principles. Either of these options would be a lot less work than fixing what's wrong with systemD. And update. Oh, nice. I originally coined the trivial to be careful by recovery license, but I don't want to keep this from using. So I'm excluding license. Nice, base. He did it under the MIT license. The based license. The better license. Nice. I updated my system. No reboot needed. And you could even say that. Writing simple stuff like this is imperative instead of forcing every application to rely on it. Update. Yeah, true. Like it's so imperative to have a system that respects you and doesn't become super look, if you want something to become bloated, it should be your choice on how you do it. systemD is so integrated. So integrated. It's crazy. Yeah, that's it's sad. It's sad because there's not a lot of options out there. Look at you can look at OpenRC. Dependency-based onion system, or even Musil. Musil is an implementation of the C standard library built on top of the Linux system call API, including interface defined in the base language standard POSIX and widely agreed upon extensions. Musil is a lightweight, fast, simple, and free, strives to be correct in the sense of standards, conformance, and safety. And then BusyBox. And then you have Run It. BusyBox is an implementation of the many Unix commands in a single executable file. It runs in many POSIX environments, including Linux, Android, FreeBSD, although many of these tools provided are designed to work with the interface provided by Linux kernel. It was specifically created for embedded operating systems with very limited resources. The authors dubbed it as the Swiss Army knife of the embedded Linux, as a single executable replaces basis function more than 300 common commands. It is released as the free software under the terms of the GNU General Public License version 2, after controversially deciding not to move to version 3. Bruce Panniers. He created the open source definition and published the first formal announcement and manifesto of the open source. He co-founded the open source Innovid with Eric as based. Written in C though. It should be written in memory safe language, Rust. The Portable Operating System Interface, a family of standardizations and specified by the IEEE Computer Society for maintaining compatibility between operating systems. In order to define the level of compatibility, POSIX specifies many aspects and functionalities that can be classified as application programming interface, API, command line shell, and shell commands. Originally derived from the commonly found Unix APIs, shells, and commands, partly because Unix was considered a mature manufacturing neutral. Today, many systems conform in standard, including branded Unix systems like Unix-like systems, and many systems that were historically unrelated to Unix. Runit is a cross-platform Unix init scheme with Surface. C just moves the responsibility of the memory safety from the compiler to the user. The pseudo binary tells us that with great power comes great responsibility. or we should do memory safe Rust. Look, we need blazingly fast waifu sites. Run it is a cross-platform Unix scheme with service supervision, a replacement of the sysinit and other init schemes. It runs on GNU/Linux, BSD, Mac OS X, and Solaris, and can be easily adapted to the Unix operating system. If Run It runs for you on any other operating system, if Run It runs for you on any other operating system, please let us know. Run It is discussed here. Well, you can do it in Gentoo, Void, as the default init scheme. Run It based for Void Linux, guys. Not a fork. We use Run It as the init system and service supervision. Run It is a simple and effective approach to the initialization of the system with reliability service supervision. Refer to the Void handbook. C library diversity. Void Linux supports both MUSL and GNU libc implementations, patching incompatible software when necessary, and working with upstream developers to improve the coherence and portability of their projects. I'm a MUSL enjoyer and a GNU libc not enjoyer. XPBS is based. XPBS SRC is the package builder written from scratch with a 2-clause BDSD license. 2-clause BSD license. Based, super cool. To reduce the initialization size firmware, Linux firmware is now compressed with ZSTD to ensure you're running supported kernel. Oh, wow. Huge gap. I forget that Void Linux is not less maintained. Everyone thinks like it's less maintained because they don't release a new fucking ISO every like 30 days, and because they don't post on their bulletin every 5 minutes and they're not in the news. It's a rolling release. Stable rolling release. Install once, update routinely and safely. Yeah, thanks to their continuous build system. The thing is, like, it's bleeding. It's this whole argument that bleeding edge is like crazy is like it's like unstable. Is just, I don't know. I've never understood it. I've never had a good experience with LTS. Awesome, guys. That was a little information and a little story about why systemD has some failures. You should make sure to check your init system to know that if you're running unbased systemD and how you can change it, because it is completely possible to change your init system, which is super cool. Check out Ageless Linux for some scripting. But if you want to be super based, you can enter the Void and use Void Linux, the super awesome Linux distribution. And don't forget to comment below your favorite type of sauce. Everyone's got a favorite sauce. If you don't, YouTube won't know that I am a real human and I love all of their policies. I'll see you guys in the next video, and the podcast is dropping tomorrow. So later.